Now, welcome back. Of course, we're going to be looking at this day 28 years ago, where 11 people were killed in what became known as the St. James Church massacre. A group of gunmen stormed a place of worship in Cape Town and sprayed congregants with bullets, injuring dozens of others in the process. The military wing of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, called the Azanian People's Liberation Army, later claimed responsibility. It said its aim was to cause maximum pain among white South Africans who were responsible for black people's suffering. But out of the tragedy, a remarkable story of courage, hope, and forgiveness emerged. eNCA contributor Mpho Lakaje has the story.
It was the dying days of white minority rule. But political violence, particularly in black townships, persisted. These killings angered the Azanian People's Liberation Army, also known as APLA.
When it became clear that there was indifference even among the whites towards the massacres which were committed in their name by the regime, most of the APLA commanders agreed that definitely we had to do something spectacular.
This translated into coordinated attacks on the white civilian population. The St. James Church in Cape Town's Kenilworth suburb became one of APLA's targets.
Some people feel that Anglican, unlike eNCA or NGK, had some progressive tendencies. But here we are talking about white population, irrespective of their religious or their Christian orientation. So it could have been another church.
And it was APLA's head of operations, Mpho, who sanctioned the attack. He and his men chose the 25th of July 1993 to execute their deadly plan.
It was a cold winter's night. We were freezing, pouring with rain outside, and they weren't the normal. The church normally seats about 1,500 people, and it was fewer than that on that evening. There were two young girls singing on the stage, and while they were singing a song to the congregation, I mean, it's lovely voices, we were all sitting just relaxing, enjoying this time of worship together, or being led in worship at the time. And all of a sudden there was a noise at the front door of the church, and that's when the havoc started.
4 APLA operatives pounced on the unsuspecting congregation.
They had rifles, fully automatic rifles, and that they were shooting with, and then they also had hand grenades. It was just complete pandemonium, chaos, and everybody went down as low as possible and hid under the benches.
But one of the congregants, Charles van Wyk, who had military experience, took the APLA gunmen by surprise.
I was kneeling down on the ground, and I had a .38 special revolver with me in an ankle holster, and I retrieved that. I pulled the revolver out of the ankle holster. I could kneel behind the bench that was in front of me because of the slope, and so I took 2 shots at the attackers.
The commander of the operation, immediately there was a return of fire from the congregants. He had to withdraw the unit because it was definitely unexpected.
Van Wyk continued to fire several shots, and the assailants, who were now in their getaway car, disappeared into the night. The 4 APLA members were later arrested. But in 1998, 3 of them were granted amnesty by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, while the 4th one died in a car accident.
I salute you all. This day,
Mpho, the mastermind behind the St. James Church massacre, served 6 years under house arrest in Bloemfontein before all charges against him were withdrawn in 2002.
Definitely I do regret the loss of life. sometimes when I do introspection, I think that the armed struggle could have been carried out effectively without stooping to the level of the enemy.
But the story doesn't end there. In the late 1990s, Van Wyk, a devout Christian, decided to reach out to some of the APLA combatants, including Mpho. In an extraordinary turn of events, Charles Van Wyk and Letlapa Mpho liked each other almost immediately, despite their history of pain and trauma.
Letlapa, an amazing man. He was very amicable, very nice, very down to earth. We became friends, I think, almost immediately. We disagree on lots of things, but we have a good time of chatting about religion and politics and everything else. We really enjoy each other's company. We eat out together.
When people who are on the receiving side of my orders came up and say, "We are not planning to harm you, you can be a friend," it restored something. For the lack of proper word, I call it restoration of humanity.
Van Wyk and Mpho's unexpected friendship has become a powerful symbol of forgiveness and reconciliation. Mpho Lakaje, Cape Town.